Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL. We are out on the cobbled climbs today for a solid 5 laps. I hear that there's 15 plus climbs out here today. This is going to be a tough one. The boys just took on Libby Hill. We'll get a replay of that because we just had a really, really interesting climb up over the top of Libby Hill. Apologies on the late start here. We had a quick little audio issue, but we fixed it up and we are good to go for the men's central as well as the women's central that we will be covering today. Quick one, Dave. Last race of the season, and they put the sting in the tail. This is one of the hardest courses you could possibly take on.
Yeah, no rest for the weary out here at all. Super challenging day. This is a racer's course, no doubt about it. You got a lot to work with out here. So let's just jump right in. I'm really excited to see what happened on Richmond the first time. As 45 kilometers of racing. It's a long day, even if it wasn't such a challenging course. This is going to be Christopher Dawson that we're joining here first. As you take a look at a group that's pretty strung out, to tell you the truth. This isn't something that you see all that often. Not only is it strung out, there's a lot of splits back through that field here as well. So they're into the thick of it here now, Nathan, as they would have just gone over Libby Hill.
Yeah, this is over the top of Libby Hill into 23rd Street. Now it's going to be one more climb up and over the top of the Governor Street climb here in just a moment. Dawson, just a moment ago, I saw a really interesting tactic coming from him. We'll see if we can bring that back in, but talk about a way of taking on this climb that in order to get the most that they possibly could out of the points. So if we take a quick look at a replay here, I just want to show you how Chris went after this. Really, really interesting tactic, actually, as we've seen this done quite a few times before, but this is going into Libby Hill. You'd think that he was getting dropped at this point. And what's actually happening here, Dave, maybe help the viewers out because this is for FTS. He's 2 seconds off the back right now.
Yeah, fastest through segment you're talking about, and what he's doing is just putting himself in prime position. He's going to be unbeatable in that if he starts this far back, he'll surf through this group, and if he's able to, make his way to the front, he'll guarantee himself a lot of points. When you look at fastest through segments, that's really where the racing is won and lost out here.
Yeah, and
Watch
Zach
for that
Neer,
Irish.
though, look at this, though, Dave. Neer as well as Berg, they pressed the pace off the front, and I think they knew exactly what he was doing. Now, look at this feather power up coming in from Zach Neer, 13 watts per kilogram, and it looks like James Barnes right on his wheel, the South African looking to come across now. And this, just a moment ago, just went down, where next I think were trying to distance themselves by that 2 seconds over the top of Dawson. See how Dawson is trying to bring that 2 seconds back? You can see on the right-hand side there, the little check mark, 10 watts per kilogram. But that next, though, I think played him actually to that 2 seconds. I'm wondering who actually got the fastest through segment because the speed from the pack and the punch off the front there might have been too much for Dawson to actually bring back that kind of time. But it was a good risk to take. Still, look, even Barnes is even saying in the chat there, Chris, like, did he make it happen? Because that was a huge risk that he took there.
Yeah, so we'll have to take a look and see if it worked out. I don't know, to tell you the truth. It looked pretty close to me.
Looks super close. I wonder. It's really interesting. We'll see if people continue.
We don't know. I thought you knew.
We were no, I don't know. I don't know at this moment.
Because
not
I don't.
At this moment just yet. No, but we're about to find out. We'll see if the segments have updated here, and if they have, we'll give you an idea. But so let's talk about that a little bit, though.
Yeah, that's the game here. So if you've been watching along with Zwift Grand Prix on Fridays, this is entirely different, a little more old school if you talk about esports. Well, so McGlinchey and Dawson are synonymous with each other. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but he races with both last names. So McGlinchey that you see there would have been the Dawson that we were talking about. So he ended up second in that. Excuse me, no, he took the fastest through segment.
Yeah.
So his plan worked. So there you go.
Well played. Very well played. Now, that means, I wonder if anybody can challenge that on the second lap. That's going to be the question, right? Now, L'Oreal is there. Teppo ended up in third for those 10 points. And then Zach takes down the 25 with both fastest through segment for second and the FAL for first there. Nice on him. Obviously, James Barr taking that second place with the 9 there, and then a 7 points there for the fourth place on the fastest through segment. So did work out. I wonder what the time actually was. We'll see if we can actually find the times
So,
for that to see how close it was.
so it's important to note here how the point structure works as far as we're into the sixth of 6 races in season 22-23, season 2. So this is it. Everything is on the line out here. The fastest through segment points are scored differently than the first across the line points, which are pretty straight ahead. They're linear, scoring from 10 down to 1. That's why when you look at Zach Neer really did a great job there. He picked up points in both categories. The second place points there for the fastest through segment. Now that scores differently. 20 points for the first rider, 15, then 10 and on down. So it's really interesting how the points get distributed. We've got a lot of points to hand out today here. So it's not just a straight ahead race as far as scratch racing going from the start and sprinting at the finish line. We've got a lot at play out here, and that's exactly what the ZRL brought to you by WTRL is all about.
Take a quick look here at what the current standings are. We got a tie at the top coming into today. Wahoo Lacole and Beast Mode presented by Rose Strength there, both at 95 points. Next presented by Insured are sitting at 88. Newton X are on their heels there at 84. Then it's going to be Leonis ESRT, Hexagon, Grand Fondo Team BE, Team NLA Elite, the Swift Kids, and Hold My Beer. That's the top 10 currently for this EMEA East Central. And today, the winner will be decided, Dave, over these cobbled climbs because of that 95-point tie at the top.
Yeah, there's no way that we end the day with a tie. I guess there is a possible way, but that's working way down the table. It's going to be separating between these two teams, and it'll be really exciting to see what their tactics and strategies are out here. We'll be tallying up points throughout the day as over 45 kilometers and 5 laps on this challenging course. This group should really whittle down.
100%. We'll see how it does so in just a moment. We're going to hit this Libby Hill one for our second time. And people are saying they want them fight. I mean, I have a feeling we're gonna have a lot of comments like that today across the board. I mean, because this is one of those. Oh, and we're missing a couple of shots here. Apologies, everybody, as it looks like suddenly our Zwift was giving us a couple issues there. Apologies on that. I guess it looks like we just wanted to get the coffee shop shot there for a moment next to as we head down into the industrial complex area, heading on over to Libby Hill for the second time. Dave, let's talk a little bit about this course then as well, because what is everybody taking on today when it comes to the Zwift Racing League? Cobbles Climbs might not be that familiar to some people because we do have an attack. We'll get into that in just a moment because we don't want to miss any of the moves. And this is actually a rider I'm not surprised going on a little bit of attack. It's going to be planned through coming from the Hexagon team here, the Frenchman. And he's one of those FTP riders that can just ride everybody off their wheels. He doesn't necessarily have the punch, though, necessarily for that quick, 1 minute. But if he can extend this out over the top of Libby Hill, press on, extend it out over the top of 23rd, press on, over the top of Governor, kind of somehow make it into a longer effort through the 3 climbs, that really benefits a rider like Michael.
This is Plantereau that we have been with Thomas Thrall, the Canadian, very dangerous rider. You can see things are really, and that's Wahoo Lacole here, starting to make a move. Boy, this is going to be very interesting on this run up to Wahoo. I think you said, Nathan, we're going to take a look at the course. This might be a really good time to see what they've got coming up here, because this is what it's all about here. Richmond Cobble Climbs is what they're about to hit next. This is really one of the most infamous sectors of racing that we see in esports. It's not the hardest climb. It's not the only cobbles. There's just something magical about what happens there on Libby Hill. So they drop down, and that's really where we just left our riders there, down in this valley before they start climbing up the Libby Hill, dropping back down. It's like going up and down an elevator here as they go back up 23rd Street. That a lot of times is even more selective than we see over at Libby Hill. As Libby Hill will have softened up the legs, and then 23rd just drives that nail home, and then they go on the grind. It's a long descent before you start climbing back up to Governor. So that's a very, very challenging course out here today. 5 laps of this, and they're just hitting Richmond, or excuse me, they're just hitting Libby Hill right now, where decisive action always takes place.
Yeah, and we do have a 5-second gap here with 4 riders off the front. All of the top, well, not all, but some of the top teams here. We've got Wahoo Lacole, we've got Hexagon, we've got Next presented by Insured are also involved. I believe this is going to be TSK here, also with them. Maybe that's the Zwift kids. I'm wondering what kit is being used here by this rider coming out of the Netherlands. But 4 riders off the front. This is a solid little break here. And with the FTS being such a big deal, with the first across the line maybe not being what the riders behind are after, they may be trying to go for that. But after 3 times over the top already, Dave, I have a feeling that the FTS is going to be taken at this point. So this might be a good little move. These 4 can start working together. Now, this is a shortened course. If you're unfamiliar with this course, it is essentially just the climbs of Richmond. We're out on the Richmond Worlds course, but we take out all of the flat sections and just send you right into the hills 3 times in a row. I did see a question come on in. Is the max gradient 10% on this course? I do believe it goes a little bit over that. I think we do hit up into the 12, 13, and 14 on 23rd Street,
On
actually.
23rd.
Yeah,
Yep.
100% here. And you did see it just bump up into 12 just a moment ago right there. 14, 13. That's the steepest point, actually, and where you want to carry the most speed through on the course. Now, it does look like Thrall here with that power up. There's going to be a steamroller on the cobbles, bringing him through for FAL. Plant throw on his wheel. Williamson, Russell, 2 seconds back. Dawson coming on through. Looks like we're going to have another split, Dave, and I have a feeling that this one is going to be a ragged group by the end of this racing out here today.
Yeah, I would say, Nathan, a selection is being made right in front of our eyes right now. It's really, really interesting when you look at how the teams are approaching this race. We're only a third of the way in, and I mean, this is a group with a tremendous amount of depth. So to see things blown to bits like this, I mean, it's not a surprise with so much on the line out here today. As we take a look at one of the very, very active groups out here has been this Rose Beast Mode team, and you get a feeling that they've got something on their mind right now as they're got Wahoo Lacole a little bit behind the 8 ball here. That's Janse van Rensburg that we're looking at trying to get back on. This is just an absolute Donnybrook now as they make their way to the bottom of 23rd.
Yeah, now we do see the roll through on the bottom of 23rd. Lots of speed coming on through, but still some splits behind. And great aero power up now being used. As you can see, that's going to be Williamson and perhaps? No, it's Simons actually to the front. The Belgian rider with Dawson right on his wheel does not have that aero power up. Look at the speed of the pack coming on through, though. Oh my God, it's going to be Berg from the Zwift kids here. And then over the top, Blomqvist from ESRT taking down some FAL points. That might have been the fastest through that segment as well. We'll have to wait and see over the top of 23rd. KN was right there. Dawson, Bursk, Vermeulen, Thiem, Zavilson there as well. That is going to be some solid points, though, coming into the pocket of ESRT. Now, it is a team game, though, Dave, isn't it? And it really matters as to whether or not your team's scoring points and not just individuals.
Yeah, very much unlike standard racing in real life. You are more, it's not just being reliant upon your teammates to help you and position you. You need them out there scoring points just as much as you need to be scoring points yourself. So, yeah, it's really made, it's part of what makes esports racing here on Zwift so much fun. Now, this is the points total up to this point. Tepolorio stepping up here as he now. So one thing about fastest through segment is that it's static. It can be updated. Excuse me, it's not static. It can be updated. Unlike the first across the line points, once you've earned them, they're yours. You bank them. You can watch some changes happening in FTS. This is a crazy course to be racing on. Is Christopher Dawson there on top of the table with uh, 41 total points. But what's significant, I think, Nate, well, I mean, it's interesting. You look at this two different ways because next, sitting here with Tom Thrall in third, Thomas Thrall, the Canadian, there in third, but they also have Zach Nair in fifth and James Barnes down there in eighth. So, uh, I mean, it ends up pretty close to even by the time things are done and dusted with the points at this point, because I would have to say this is right now. We're going into this one pretty squared up.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting too between beast mode though, with Kristoff and Schlichtmann there. They're the only ones represented, and Wahoo Lacole at the top. Beast mode are gonna have to respond to this because they're currently tied for first, and if they don't start grabbing some points here throughout the rest of the race, they're gonna be in a lot of trouble. How represented as well are they in this front pack is gonna be the question. We've got Theme, one of their strongest riders. Who else is here? I mean, I'm looking for German
Kayan?
flags is what I'm looking for. Kane's not. I don't think he's riding for Betts is here.
I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah.
There's a couple others. There's a couple others it looks like that are in here. I see a few more beast mode jerseys in here, but they're on the back foot now, Dave. They need to really
I
pick up.
would agree.
They got to pick up a lot of FALs from here on out. Now, the one thing that is going to be a big deal for. Is Teppo in trouble? I'm seeing a question mark coming in. Barnes is actually off the back here, Dave. Wow, work is done? Because I mean, this is not expected. So he's got his FTS, and now where is the rest of the next team? Interesting. And now Teppo says he's off the back and can't breathe. Things are Dave. This race is completely blowing apart now. There's Wahoo have lost one of their strongest riders from the front group.
This is a major surprise, to tell you the truth. I mean, they have raced so aggressively. It's almost like you watch a prize fighter punching themselves out of the fight. Right? These guys are racing themselves out of the race. They're going so hard. I mean, Barnes is one of the best esports racers in the history of this discipline, and he's not able to hold the pace right now after going so hard. I think that FTS effort has really, really impacted this race. The riders have really talked about how they prioritize that FTS, how significant it is, and it is really, really making a huge difference as we're looking at another big turn, a split happening in front of our eyes. How about Mikel Plantereau today? The French rider has been phenomenal, making every move.
Yeah, big moves here all around now. But Ben Russell here continuing on. I think he knew that they saw that beast mode was not involved with this little bit of a break. Next was there, and knowing that beast mode was not there because everything I think from here on out, Dave, is going to be FAL, and beast mode can still make a lot happen with as many riders as they have here and first across the line at the end of the race. Right, so those FTSs, those are huge points up front. But with how many times they're going over the top of these climbs, they still have 3 more times through those climbs. That's 2 more to get through at Libby Hill on FAL. They still have the finish line points as well. So beast mode, they're not out of it. And have Wahoo Lacole risked too much early on for those FTSs and found themselves out of contention for the big points for the rest of the race. Now from here on out, the WLC riders are going to need to be marking for these FALs in this front group. And who do we got? We've got Russell. And what do we have? Russell and Dawson? Is that going to be it? That's going to be able to have to cover all of the black and orange that is in this. There's still 4 black and orange here, Dave.
Yeah, let's take a look, Nathan, if we can, again, at where the season stands right now, just to give people some perspective. I think that would be helpful because this is the situation here. Wahoo Lacole and Rose Beast Mode are tied. Next and short, it's a bit of a surprise, isn't it? I would say that they're sitting in third. Such a strong team, but it shows you how competitive this league is. But right now, I mean, we're really focusing in on Wahoo Lacole and Rose Beast Mode, and I would agree with your assessment up there, Nathan. Right now, Wahoo Lacole might be slightly outmanned. But, I mean, this is the final race of this season. Everything on the line out here. And I have a feeling that Wahoo Lacole is ready with the men that they have to stand up. It's going to be really, really exciting here in the last couple of laps. Tough day. One of the toughest days that we've seen in the history of the ZRL, especially the way these guys are racing it today.
And Dave, I mean, I got to really say that looking at that, where things currently stand there, and the weight that's going to be on the shoulders of Russell and Dawson. They can do it, Dave. They can do it, but they have to absolutely mark and steal every single point all the way through because the numbers game, we've talked about this many times when it comes to racing in the WTRL Zwift Racing League, is that it matters more in a race like this a lot of times that you bring enough riders with you, right? Now Johnson makes a move here from Hexagon. He's like, forget this whole conversation with WLC and beast mode marking each other. I'm going to just make the moves off the front. Russell looks to conquer that, though, it looks like, as well as Williamson. The moves are coming with orange numbers from behind here because they need as many points as they can possibly get over the top of that Libby Hill climb. That's 10 points going up the road that Jansen's trying to grab for Hexagon, and they're saying, no, we need every one of those, so it's covered here real quickly. It looks like by Williamson and Thrall.
Yeah, it becomes one of those, an enemy of my enemies is my friend. And right now, yeah, you could see that. I mean, from the perspective of Wahoo Lacole, they're not disappointed to see at all these other teams mixing it up out there. They need some help putting pressure on onto beast mode right now. Another split happening. There's so many dynamics at play, whether it's fastest through segment, first across the line, the outright race win, the overall season title as well. This is absolutely crazy what's going on out here.
Look at the little bit of split. Now, I think this is going to come back. They're trusting in this group that it's not going to go anywhere. But you get a pack like that off the front, Dave. That was a good almost 10 riders. If they really started to string it out and work together, that puts danger into the rest of these riders behind. That was a moment of trust. Now, look at how many, though. Look at all the orange jerseys as well. Hexagon, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 riders in here. 5 riders? So Hexagon, the most represented and the ones that gain the most maybe on the day. There's also the race on the day, Dave, right? You've got the overall series that there's a whole chess match going on with that. But then you've got just the outright winner today, and Hexagon have set themselves up pretty well to maybe be able to pull that off if they can challenge for some FALs here. Now, making this group and taking the points from this group are two very, very different things, right? You could be in this top 20 or so, but if you just end up 15th every time, it's not much for your team.
No, but I would say it's a very good indicator. And the way Plantero has been racing as well, it shows me that they really have rocked up here in the back half of the season. This is a team that has a tremendous future as we look at another attack going clear here. I mean, it is just left, right, and center, and that's going to be coming over the top now is going to be the Next and Short team. There's a big raid happening from Next and Short. I have to think that, I mean, there's just really, when you look at it mathematically, no real way that they win the season, but they've got to want to make a statement out here today. They brought their A team, no doubt about it. And here we go. It's becoming frenetic up on the front. So these first across the line, fastest through segment has sailed, especially the way they've gone so hard earlier in this race. This has got, in my mind, has to be all about the points for the top 10 at the top of Libby Hill.
100% at this point. I do not see anyone getting involved in the FTS any longer. The reality of the speeds through for that first lap with the feather power ups, 13, 15 watts per kilogram all the way through. I think we're going to see riders struggling to come anywhere near that. Now, look at the speed and the carry through that speed from that pack, how quickly they just shut down, even though there's no orange numbers coming from them. And there's massive orange numbers from this front pack at this point. So always a big risk to make those earlier moves. It's really not until you get into this stronger percentage on the gradients. They're up in that 8% or so. And even then, there is still some roll through as we get into this negative percent. But Plantero, he's going to take it to the course early here, up toward Libby Hill, third time. There's the feather power up. A little early maybe on the feather power up here. This next corner right now is really the one where you want to carry the most speed, and Thrall knows exactly that. Sits right on the wheel. Here comes Thrall, probably going to overtake here with a solid punch, and Thomas Thrall's going to take these FALs.
Yeah, it's still second is only 1 point less, so it's not a bad job at all by Plantero here. He's had a tremendous day, but Thomas Thrall doing what the Canadian is so good at. He gobbles up the top points there. And now let's see, that looks like it's going to be Dawson that we're looking at now coming up and over the top. There's going to be a big moment here as Dawson has hit out. Trying to cover that move is going to be Rose Beast mode. It's every man for himself out here now, Nathan.
Christoph Thiem was the only one who could even try to follow. Russell's now off the back, perhaps trusting that he can hang in and amongst the rest of this beast mode crew. Now, beast mode actually are losing riders at this point with only theme up here, and it looks like Dawson going on the attack to grab as many points up ahead of beast mode at this point. Dave, it looks like Wahoo Lacole may be pulling this one off because beast mode were not really that involved. Can they come through for this next segment for some big points? Are they saving for the finish line? Has Dawson been wasting too much? I don't know. Dawson, though, is one of those riders who can go and go and go again and again and again. I'm not sure he's going to be fading throughout the rest of this race.
No, I mean, you really feel like they've got the momentum right now when you're talking about Wahoo Lacole. As you can see, the massive impact that what Christopher Dawson has done. It's not just about trying to get points himself. He's really putting the Rose Beast Mode riders in some trouble, but this is where they might strike back here, Nathan. Christoph Team had tremendous talent. This is going to be Greg Abbott that we're looking at.
He's getting lapped.
He's just going to get caught.
He's getting lapped, yeah. Dawson here over the top. Berg now. And Planthrow, that's going to be a 3. Apologies on that, Dave. It was just making sure that nobody thought that Get Swifty was there up the front. I think he may be de-essing, I'm not sure, and just kind of riding around the course, or perhaps just out there finishing up. I'm not sure if he's racing on the roster today.
I hope if he's de-essing, he's not riding around on the course.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I'll double check and see.
That wouldn't be super appropriate. All right, so we're looking at right now the front of the bike race, the Tetta da Corsa, as Dawson drops down, a la Peter Sagan here on the descent. And that group, though, holding together right now, Nathan. But I think Dawson did himself a solid. We'll have to, again, the points are just constantly coming at you out here. And, oh, wow, and there they are. So this is significant now. Obviously, Next is having a great day here with Thrall and Near sitting up in the top 4. But Christopher Dawson is sitting on 51 points. McGlinchey Dawson's the same gentleman as Kayan here with 39 points on. Now, I'm not sure that jersey there. He's on the Hexagon team. Correct. I don't know why they're.
I believe Kayan is. Yeah, I believe Kayan is on the Hexagon
or
team.
is he?
I'll double check.
He has
real quick for
been.
you.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Why the Hexagon for some reason, unless the Kayan brothers changed. Now they would have changed teams.
No, Burke Kayan and as well as Count Kayan are both riding on Hexagon. I think there's just needs to be an update on the pulled jerseys there for that specific one. I think Hexagon has a new jersey in game. And so the updates to the jerseys that are pulled through for the data on the boards just hasn't been updated as well. It is a sweet looking jersey actually here. This new orange one.
Yeah, they have some style, no question. We've seen that jersey a lot. So I'm surprised, Nathan, that Mikel Plantero isn't up in the top 10. And I mean, that just shows you how these points have been distributed amongst many, many riders out here. But again, getting back to where we stand right now, you can see that Wahoo Lacole, Teppo Lorio's playing a huge role sitting there with those 25 points. You add those to McGlinchey, and they're looking pretty good right now when you compare them to Rose Beast Mode, that at this point now has only got Christoph with the 21 points. Christoph Team sitting up there with the 21 points. So your call earlier was more than correct that Wahoo Lacole is starting to put an exclamation point on this ride out here today as we're into the second half, the back 9 out here in Richmond now.
Yeah, 2.5 to go. Well, 2 to go really at this point. 2 to go as they come on through Near here, leading things out of the main pack. And how many riders have made this? I mean, this is just non-stop come at you for this course, and it is going to be Liam Lear here, it looks like, and Van Latham now as well. Going to be the riders that are going to be trying to make the catch. 23 or 24, perhaps, that have made this front group. Planthro continues on off the front. Again, a rider who really wants this to separate a little bit more to try and make things very hard toward the end of this race. You know, when it comes to Hexagon and a rider like Michael, I have to think that his goal is to whittle this down as much as it possibly can and then attack bottom to top, over the top of Governors, and just make that a drawn out 7-8 watts per kilogram for as long as he possibly can to the finish line rather than a kick to the line. And he's really going to have to break the rest of this pack and any of the strongmen in it because he just doesn't have the kick to match them, but he does have that kind of motor. He wants to be able to get into that opportune situation, set it up for himself so that the pack does not have that advantage any longer against him.
McGlinchey again at the back of the group here. It's tough to know whether we go with McGlinchey or Dawson now, isn't it? I'm going to say that the hat is a great way to tell as we're looking at Dawson right there. Now starting to ride through this group. Interesting. Good rider to focus on right now, Nathan. We watched him dangling off the back, and now he's hit out here again out of Northern Ireland. This is Christopher Dawson that we're looking at, and that's certainly going to get a response here. That is what I anticipate the hexagon jersey looks like these days. The orange kit taken, or that's actually going to be Dutch Racing, isn't it, that we're looking at now as I go
No,
up
there
and
it
over
is.
the top
We
here.
got that's hexagon. That's definitely hexagon here. Yep, with plant throw. Really good looking kit. Johnson though is the rider that they go over the top with the new glasses. I absolutely love this kit actually that he's wearing.
The hat and everything.
Yeah, the hat and the glasses here. This was a part of the Oktoberfest. Really cool to see in game as you're able to get these. You were able to get these through October with that in game little tour that we had. So hexagon making a move off the front. Thrall keeping it chill, super tucking, 59 kilometers per hour from the rider from Hexagon, 56 from the pack, actually. So he's got some speed on them, but I don't think it's going to hold as the roll through comes on. We're going to go over the top for number 4 and 5 momentarily. The women are going to be starting in 6 minutes. We will be covering the women's central as well. And we'll be bringing in all of the standings and how things are working out with them. As you can see here on the women's side of things, that we have something somewhat similar. But on the day for what's going to be starting here in just a little bit, it's 97 and 96 at the top between Wahoo Lacole Grand Prix and the Aeonian Aces for our next race coming up in just about. We'll get some side by side coverage here as the men finish up, and then finish up the broadcast with the focus on the ladies racing. But you see Toyota Cardi T, Electric Spirit Co., Stelly, Wahoo Lacole, Etrioles, Synergy Heat, Crash Pod, Norns, Roca Cobra Collective, and KRT. That's the situation for the top 10. And the conversation again coming to a head here for first and second in this final race day between Wahoo Lacole and Aeonian Aces in that women's race that we'll see in just a few.
Yeah, virtually tied, to be honest. There is a 1-point difference. It'll come down to who has the better day out there today on a very challenging course. So it's certainly no gimme on a day like today, that's for sure. We'll have to take a look at those rosters and see. I mean, it does really come down to the depth. It's not your top rider. Most of these teams have got that rider. It's the second, third, and fourth riders that really seem to be where things are decided out here. Looking at a reduced group right now, they're down to less than 15K of racing. There got to be some heavy, heavy legs out here. And another attack from the Frenchman Plantereau as we take a look at where the points stand now. And Christopher Dawson having a tremendous day. 71 points that he's collected for Wahoo Lacole. Tempo helping keeping them in the mix because it's a pretty interesting if you look at it here now, Nathan, I would have to say that the team of the day, it's either Next or Hexagon, really. But the team of the season looks like it might be Wahoo Lacole.
Yeah, it's good moves here by Hexagon, it seems. We'll see if they can hold on. The issue here for Beast Mode, 34 points only. Now, there are a lot of riders probably just outside this top 10 that have a solid amount of points that are, underneath that 19. So 15, 15, 15. That might add up if we do see that from Beast Mode. So we'll have to wait and see at the end of the day what the actual points tally ends up being. I can maybe even update live here the league standings. I'm going to actually do that. We'll go ahead and take a look at how it was coming in. But then what's really nice about this is we can update the league standings live, and you can all see exactly where they stand after the points have been tallied a little bit so far. So from the points that we just saw so far today, we are sitting at, it looks like, still a tie, actually. It's actually still a tie, from what I'm seeing, or maybe the points aren't updating live any longer. I'll have to wait and see if I can get an update on that because we used to have a board that would update live on the league points from each and every point that's scored. I have a feeling that we're going to wait and see if we still have that feature. If we do, I'll be able to tell you as it changes here. Now the attack here from Russell. Russell going on the attack because I think he's looking to set up a chase that allows McGlinchey to come through for another kick because it seems like the fire just continues to come through from McGlinchey. He is unstoppable if he is set up well, it seems, for those kicks over the top.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder how many times can they go to that well here. I like Russell now, certainly, trying to stir the pot a little bit now, and you never know. Maybe they sleep on him a little bit. Janssen's been tremendous here, the German rider on Hexagon, and it looks like he's leading up the chase. I think that they are keeping him within shouting distance, Nathan, which is so much changes when you hit Libby Hill here, which happens about 30 seconds from now.
Yeah, it was a good move by Russell, but I think it's going to be for naught at the end of the day here because they chased him within 1 second. He's still pressing on at 5.9 watts per kilogram. Man, that's quite an effort to be throwing down here at 45 kilometers per hour. They're matching him at 45 here in the pack as they start the next time through the segment over the top of Libby here as they hit it for the fourth time. And now here comes Hexagon. A little bit of a move. They still have Dave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders in this lead group. Planthero makes a move again as he waits for Libby Hill to go and try and make this separation. He's going to grab some solid FAO over the top again, I believe. Thrall now on the chase. He was the man who caught him last time. Will he be able to do it again?
Well, Plantero has been irrepressible out here. He's contested every time. I don't know if he's fallen outside of the top 3 here by the time they get to the top of this cobbled monster, Libby Hill, that we are just now engaging in battle. Last time it was Thomas Thrall that got the better of Michael on this climb. This time you can see that they are strung out. And he's still going to score way, way up there, smoothing out those cobbles. It is going to be, again, Christopher Dawson and Fuego out here. I mean, this is one heck of a ride for Wahoo Lacole's Dawson. He's not doing it all himself for Wahoo Lacole, but he has been a one-man wrecking crew out of Northern Ireland. Wow, Nathan, what a performance from Dawson here as he'll rack another 10 points up for his team. And at this point now, it's starting to look like this is their season.
Yeah, where is beast mode? Were they able to score any points through here? You have to be able to get at least a rider or two in that top 10 to even try and match. Where was Russell when it comes over the top of that climb as well? Russell, I think, was somewhere near the top 10 there as well. So Wahoo Lacole, I think, are putting their stamp on this final race. I have a feeling they have shown that they are here to win on race number 6. This final lap, Dave, I'm not even sure if enough points are available any longer for Rose Beast Mode to make that up. Perhaps saving a lot for the finish line, but I doubt it here, Dave. If you are unable to make it to the top of Libya, a lot of times it's the course that's really telltale here. There isn't a lot of hiding and waiting on this course, Dave, is there? It's more about do you got it or not, and you can prove it and not wait on this course.
Yeah, 100% agree, Nathan. Not only do you have it or not, but are you going to have it again in a few minutes? Because that's the thing. I mean, it's what makes Libby Hill such a popular course with racers is there is no rest for the weary. As you said, there's nowhere to hide out here. As we'll go back to the front of the group, and Christopher Dawson continues to pour it on here. What a ride today from Chris.
Theme taking second. Over the top here, 180 beats per minute, battling there with Thomas Thrall for some points. It's going to be Beast Mode back in 12th here. They still have riders here, though. Betts is still involved here as well, just suffering over the top, 182 beats per minute. Now, if there's a couple of ifs here, maybes, big maybes, but I have a feeling, Dave, WLC, amazing job by them. Now, we're back in the 13th. The separation's happening. It looks like next for somebody in short as well as Hexagon, still involved at the front here. Team NL also with Vermeulen getting involved at the front. Van Leetham is here from the Gran Fondo team, so still a lot of teams represented, but the splits are starting to happen again. Riders off the back, 2 or 3. Now, unable to maybe get back involved, and this is going to whittle things down. Governor Street comes quickly. Having to chase into Governor is one of the worst feelings you could possibly have out on Richmond.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's so many points waiting at the finish line, which is about 9K from here. It's still, I mean, you have to wonder, Nathan, can Beast Mode pull off a stunner here in the last lap? It's not impossible, and they certainly have the players still in this group. I'm trying to figure, is it 3 or 4 riders up in this really reduced front group right now? Looks like it's 3 for Rose Beast Mode.
100%. Yep. 3 riders. It's going to be a Theme, it seems to me. Christoph Thiem is here. Schlechtman is here, as well as Betts has made this front group. So 3 riders, all still involved. I really don't think they've been keeping their powder dry, though, Dave. I think they've just been hanging on a few of them. Theme is the only one that's been able to challenge. He has come over the top twice in second place, though, for those segments. I believe the last 2. So he's really done a great job to represent the team out here today and keep them in the conversation. And I have a feeling that those points are going to be absolutely crucial today. And finish line points are still a big deal. And, whether or not the rest of this team as the attack goes again, and you know who that's going to be, Dave. The man who wants this to separate, it's going to be Michael Plantereau. Plantereau, the Frenchman here, again goes Governor Street. This is the main climb that's extended on the day. And the pack, though, probably just rested up a little bit too much, trying to put the pressure on it. Only 5.1 watts per kilogram. It's not a serious attack. He's just trying to put some sting in the legs, I think.
What's really been impressive to me, both Dawson and Plantereau, the way that they have consistently been contesting for every single point opportunity, just like a Hoover out there, just sucking up the points where they can. And they're still in contention, but I'm starting to see, it looks like Zach Nair, Thomas Thrall sitting back in this group. I'm expecting an absolute explosion here for the finale, Nathan, because I mean, when you look at it, there's the season that we're talking about. There's, that overall team battle. There's also a lot of pride in winning out of a group this strong. To be the first man over the line, independent of all of the points and teams, there's something about that. It's almost a primal human need to win the outright bike race. And I have a feeling that that's going to be extremely interesting to watch here in the finale. This is a guy, though, who has had a tremendous day, a great season, and absolutely a rider for the future, on a team for the future, for that matter, talking about Hexagon.
7 seconds. I'm liking what I'm seeing here from Plantereau, but Thrall, he's going to be the workhorse there for next presented by Insured. And Dave, let's not forget that there's still a conversation here going on when it comes to some of these other teams that are trying to stay involved. I think next also, I think you're right, though. Maybe this is more just about the day because next they're at 88 points. They're pretty solid. I don't think Mutant X have anyone around that's going to really be challenging here. So this is about pride. And, it looks like Hexagon, the other question here from them is, can they have a good enough day to grab a solid 20 points that puts them 6 points ahead, or that gets them into that 6 points that they need up against the ESRT team? Or has ESRT done enough on the day to challenge? Because if we take a look at the current point situation here, I'm not seeing ESRT only have Blomqvist there with Plantereau and Kayan up at the top. They could be pretty far down in the leaderboard at the end of the day here for that ESRT team and be losing their current position to Hexagon. So Hexagon's still fighting for something on the season as well as the day for the win. Now Dawson here makes it a kick to go across. Nice little move. Orange numbers. If they can get 3 or 4 here, with the whittled down pack behind, there will not be as much of a snowball effect, but they need to jump again. They can't just sit around. They have to carry speed right on through into this downhill. Final lap, bell lap, last lap. 5th time through, 50 minutes of racing down so far. We've got, it looks like a group of 5 forming on the front, but they've got to work right now to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, Christopher Dawson would be the man of the match in my mind with the ride that he's had out here today. Janssen, however, the Hexagon rider now, one of the Germans on that team, is coming up and over the top. This is just an all-out throwdown that we're witnessing here today. What a great way to wrap up this season on ZRL as Plantereau is back. I mean, this is just insane what's going on up here on the front. And Nathan, at this point now, Wahoo Lacole, they're fighting on multiple fronts here, as it's certainly going to be interesting to see if Dawson can win the race outright today. He's I think it's looking like he, along with Tepalorio, have done enough for that Wahoo Lacole team, although I don't really want to underline that statement because there's still enough at play. And Beast Mode does, even though they're getting out-punched right now, they've still got the numbers back in that group, although that point is becoming less and less relevant as Dawson just keeps stacking points on points on points out here, as Dawson is right there in the super tuck with, it looks like Janssen is the rider. Now, that orange jersey's been omnipresent up here today, and now you can see Thrall, the next rider, up there. That is the hierarchy of the race here today, as Plantero is just about to join Williamson of the TSK team, the Dutch rider, up there as well. Nathan, they're down to just over 5K of racing. It's starting to look to me like this group might go clear, actually. This could be the bike race rolling away right now.
Yeah, we do see a jump there from behind there. Orange numbers popping, it looks like, because they know exactly what you were saying there, Dave. They know that this is the move to be making at this moment. Janssen rolls through at 5.8 watts per kilogram. We'll see if anybody's able to make contact, as now it is going to be Janssen rolling there right there from the HMB team, trying to come across. Not sure that's going to be able to happen, though, as it looks like the fade is there. One man trying to come across with orange numbers, but then it gets covered there quickly by, it looks like, Theme and the rest, but they're unable to come through. 6 watts per kilogram from ESRT, but who are you working for is going to be the question. Now Williamson heads to the front, and these riders, Dave, they've got 3 seconds, though. This is the touch and go right now. This is the moment. If they can come over the top of this little bump and into the downhill right here and carry more speed than that pack, it will succeed, I believe. If not, though, an ESRT, they throw down 8 real quickly, Dave, and that may be the coffin, the nail in that coffin for it. We'll see how much speed they carry over the top. They may be able that 1 or 2 go across. That could be the other situation.
I think it's filling in, though, like the Bering Strait right now, Nathan. It really could have gone either way here. And wow, I mean, we don't see races like this all that often, just absolutely frenetic from the first gun. It has a lot to do with this point structure. Just an absolutely incredible day of racing, and we're getting right down to the brass tacks now. Actually, maybe it doesn't. That's one rider going across right now as we're in with the Belgian Van Latham here, as he's not only going to join, he's going to go right through that group like a hot knife through butter here, Nathan. So that now is reestablishing a front group, keeping the pace very, very high. All right. So it has reset now, the entire group back together. When I say entire group, though, that is a greatly reduced peloton.
Counterattack here from Williamson. He says, I'm going to go over the top now. What a move here coming from him. DSK now making a move to the Netherlands. And Dave, after all of those attacks through that pack, will he gain enough time here and just continue on? Now, the reality, though, of the kind of power that is in this group behind that's about to be resting up in just a moment here and making their way through this Libby Hill, I have a feeling is just going to be too much of a nuclear explosion. I mean, the reality of the speed that this pack's going to come through for this Libby Hill, but maybe Williamson's got another kick, but nice little move. Plantero now comes over the top.
Yeah, I mean, and certainly don't want to throw any shade on Williamson, but there today is so much power. I mean, I saw the American scientists, I think, getting closer to figuring out how to make fusion work. I think that Michael Plantero in France has figured that out, to tell you the truth, as this guy is nuclear right now, and he's going to go make that catch. And let's see, he's scored way, way up on the table every single time we've gone up and over Libby. Can he do it again? You know, his main adversary, Thomas Thrall, right now is ready to let that throttle go wide open, as there's the Canadian Thrall, as he's going to look to make that catch. It always seems to happen on that last hairpin on Libby Hill. Plantero looking to set this right. There he is in orange on the front. They're just about to hit Libby Hill for the final time. And here he comes. That's going to be Thomas Thrall hitting out. Thrall now rolling it.
Near right on the wheel here. Thrall right behind. Yeah, near there. No, it's all good. No, well, hard to recognize the two between them. I mean, the difference here is just the white helmet. Yep. Yeah. And near with the orange Zwift hat. That's about it here. Now an Aero Power up here. Hang on to the monster that is near. How many times have we seen Zach Near? Last ditch effort. 2K to go, 3K to go, come over the top and just smash the final Ks to walk away. But he's got the reality of Dawson and Planthrow here. This is the three, though, Dave. This is a danger trio, Dave, that this stays away.
I tell you,
these three.
I completely, the holy trinity of racers out here today you're looking
Dawson's
at.
cracked. I think Dawson's cracked.
They finally crack him, huh? Well, let's see if that's true. As
Ooh,
this
maybe
guy
not.
has been,
Okay.
not maybe not.
I thought they were continuing on. I hear
you.
on. Planthrow goes. Okay, this is it. This is what I was talking about. This is what he's been looking for. He's been waiting for this moment to see them off of his wheel and continue on. Now 4 watts per kilogram, but the reality is, Dave, if they get together behind here, there's Dawson right back on the wheel. Oh, this is touch and go, Dave. It's touch and go. Can they stay? But now the pack is starting to get enough numbers to roll through with some speed. It's not solo any longer, and it might all be for naught. And it's whether or not you're wasting effort or winning the race. It's always that question in this situation.
Dawson right now must have his vision closing in on him there, as for the first time we're starting to see a chink in his armor as Mikel Plantero is the French rider on the front right now. So this is going to be some serious Zwift craft that we're looking at from Zach Nair. This guy is a Zwift magician, and Nair to the front. These three remain engaged in battle. There goes Dawson. The Northern Irishman has been unbelievable here today, and he's pouring more watts from Dawson right now. Unbelievable effort. I mean, Dawson just cannot be held back today, Nathan. If Wahoo Lacole wins this season, they certainly should be buying this man a pint of Guinness at the end of the day, as Christopher Dawson now rolls on a look. Can this be a race-winning move even now? That pack behind has got to be really feeling like they're taking on water like the Titanic right now. Christopher Dawson is our solo leader. He's trying to steal this race from a very, very strong group. Blomqvist, Thrall, Schlickman, all leading the chase. It's Christopher Dawson time. 1K to go.
All of a sudden, Beast Mode are here, Dave. All of a sudden, Rose Beast Mode are here. They still have 3 riders, Dave. And it looks like some of them came over the top there. This is interesting, Dave. Where is Russell? Ben Russell is not here. Dawson is the only rider. Now, if he can stay away, that's going to be...
He almost has to win this race.
Because, it's... What if Beast Mode come 1, 2, 3, or they go... what if Dawson fades here, gets caught? I mean, there's a whole lot of questions that are about to be answered for us for Rose Beast Mode and what they have been up to this entire race. Dawson now fades. I think he's waiting. He knows maybe that he's going to get caught. He's going to rest up. He knows that it's too much of a wasted effort. He wants to be in this pack. Maybe a smart move, Dave.
You know what? I'm with you. I think he believes his best chance, and boy, he's almost like so. Again, there's so much happening with points left, right, and center that we're not exactly sure right now. But I have a feeling that Dawson still needs to get a result at the finish line with 3 riders from Rose Beast Mode. This is not over, folks. This is not even close to over. Now, you have to wonder if Hexagon had ridden like this all season, how different the story would be. And I think that next insured, Nathan, is going to be looking at Hexagon as absolutely a team that they're going to have to be contending with for many seasons to come. Back to the front now. That is Zach Nair in the orange hat with the green jersey of the next team. But this is Rose Beast Mode. This is their moment.
No way, Dave. Are they going to do this? I mean, Dave, you're right. It's a team game. And look at the points currently. Theme is currently at 53 points. Now Beast Mode are starting to sneak onto this radar here. 25 points there from Theme. So 25, 9, and 55 there, Dave. That's going to put us up into 80. It's within 19 points there of that. But there's a lot of WLC below this as well. But there's also a lot of Beast Mode below this top 10. Dave, this is a situation on our hands right now between Beast Mode presented by Rose. Theme are there as well. Now here comes... What is happening? Slidman's here as well. There's Beast Mode all over the front of this race.
Yeah, I mean, if Beast Mode puts 3 in the top 7, it looks pretty good for them. It's amazing, and that's what this points table is all about, keeping things exciting right down to the very end, and that's where we're at. This is the final few nails, the brass tacks, if you will, to be pounded home. The finish arch is in sight. Next is going to make a run at it now. Now, this is for the outright win today. We've got so many different playing fields that we're battling on, so Hexagon and Next aren't really going to impact the season total. Does Tom Thrall or Mikael
Planthrow does
Planthrow
it.
take this
No
one?
way, Planthrow. It was what we said, the run to the line. Dave, he has been looking for this moment by pressing the pace over and over again all day. But look at Betts. Theme 1, 3, 4. Dawson gets in there, but now here's Schlickman. Those places, every one of those places matter. Every single one of those places matter.
So I obviously just working on hunches or instinct, Nathan, but I have a feeling that went Rose Beast Mode's way. Well, obviously the finish did. So many points at that finish line. Schlickman basically neutralizes the points there, the finish line points, not the FAL or FTS points, but the finish line points for Dawson. So, I mean, it could come down to a couple of points here or there, Nathan,
it really
for the
could.
season.
It really could. Yeah. It was as close as it gets. And Beast Mode were waiting for finish line. That's what they were waiting for. I wasn't sure what they were up to there, Dave, but they were so patient. I thought that they just couldn't match anything. I really thought they were unable to match the efforts there, but they proved differently. Now, we're already in with the women's race. I'm going to give you a replay of the first lap key moments. We'll get in with that in just a second, but I want to just see the catch here. There was a massive group that went off the front there. It was a solid 20 riders, but it has been brought all back together. We had a 13 to 15 second gap actually at one point after the first time through. Now we're back up to what looks to be about 46, 50, almost 50 riders that have made the front again. The first lap was so incredibly crazy within this women's race. We'll get right down into where things are at, what the standings are and everything, but we do not want to miss the second time over the top of Libby Hill. But Dave, we're in with the women's central and Arya Varhamn, Zoe Langham. We've got the Aeonian versus the WLC situation in front of us right now.
There are so many stars in this race. I mean, Nathan, we could spend the next half hour just breaking down for you the talent that we've got racing here. Well, you do know the course already. If you've been watching with the men here, we're in Richmond. Basically, when we talked about Richmond being a tale of two cities, well, we eliminated the easier city of the two and just left all the hard bits out there for you to race on, whether it's Livy, 23rd, or Governors. That's all you've got. I guess the only sector where you could really recover is the transfer when you drop back down from downtown proper and the finish line back to the bottom of Libby Hill. But this is the season. We previewed this a little bit earlier, but for all intents and purposes, it is tied. Wahoo Lacole and the Aeonian Aces. And Nathan had a chance to highlight a couple of the names to be watching out here. It's not over, but I think, in all honesty, for Toyota Cryo, third place is looking pretty solid for them right now with Electric Spirit Co., the Chanticleer version in fourth, Team Castelli in fifth. The other Wahoo Lacole team, the Etoile de Velo, they are sitting in sixth, but that's going to be a real battle today with Synergy Heat and Crush Pod Norns, excuse me. That's your kind of that grouping for 6, 7, and 8. You can see Roca Corbett in 9th, and then KRT, the A Rockets, in 10th. So, Nathan, Battle Royale shaping up. They're already well into it, to tell you the truth. 45 kilometers of racing over 5 laps out here today. And they're a third of the way into this. Big group together, but it hasn't looked like that all day out here.
Zoe Langham taking up 42 points so far. It's going to be Arya Varhamn there for 40 points in second place. Holdcroft is there for that Synergy team. Zarhi with 36 right now. Marina Arce. Aeonian really dominating this so far. We see Lindsay Cassie is here, though, so we'll see later on in the race. Again, she's one of those racers that's more of what we saw in the previous race with Michael Planthero, that she just wants things to be really difficult, and she might be one that could win it outright on the day because of the attrition, the reality of this race. But Dave, Aeonian. Zoe Langham, though, taking it to them early on here. We'll see how it ends up playing out at the end of the day, though, as she's got to continue on to try and battle with that Aeonian situation. Now we have Varhamn now making a move.
Ariel Varhamn has been absolutely amazing. That's going to be Vicky Whitelaw up on the front as well. So Aeonian actually really right now pressing the issue here. They've got 3 riders absolutely charging. Let's see what they can do right now coming up and over the top. We're going to be hearing a lot more about that's going to be Eileen Gardner that we're looking at with Zoe Langham up there. Langham's going to take top points this time through. All right. Well, this is going to be the story for the next half hour or so, Nathan. Wahoo, Lacole, and Aeonian, two incredibly talented teams with depth, motivation, great directors behind them. That's Eiley Gardner that I was talking about just a moment ago, who's going to be an impact racer out here today as well. Neither of
Interesting
those two.
choice on wheels. What is she running here? Is this going to be maybe her in real life kit? I wonder on the track bike there. With does Illy ride for Trek in real life? I wonder. She's got the UCI Pro kit, so I was wondering if perhaps I have to figure that one out. But that's not. I mean, not a traditional bike choice. That's why I'm wondering, like, what
Yeah, yeah.
the
Interesting.
situation is
That's
there.
a very good, Nathan, good catch there as far as a lot of riders would try to replicate whatever bike their team races on and what they use in real life. By the way, what's really nice, Nathan, is seeing a lot of these names that we watch in these ZRL races do quite well in real life. I saw Eva van Acht just recently signed her World Tour contract the other day, a name that we've seen out here quite a bit. Here we go, though. Let's take a look at this. Absolutely flying is Lindsay Cassidy. She was sitting in 10th in points. Well, she's going to be climbing that table pretty quickly here, Nathan, one of the top esports riders in the game today.
And this is what she wants to do. She just wants to make it difficult on the rest of the pack. She wants to whittle this down in the ladies' race. It's very a little bit different where you can get these breakaway situations happening a little bit more. And I think that she wants to whittle this down so it's just her and a couple other riders that she can break at the end of this race, that she can take this continual chipping away, waiting until she sees a few cracks in the ice and then brings the sledgehammer in the last couple of laps. I really think that that's what Lindsay Cassie wants to make happen here, but she's cracking this pack little by little. Every rider that she can get rid of, it sets her up to make this race as difficult as she possibly can.
Nathan, you put that perfectly, except I'm going to change sledgehammer into wrecking ball because she's doing some real damage right now. That group might be half the size that we saw at the bottom of Libby. You can see a split has come. These are the riders that just had to take this seriously. Now, let's see what we've got here. Over the next 1 minute, this race is being made out here. So Aeonian is the team, along with Wahoo Lacole, that we've really kind of isolated as the top two squads coming out of this season. They're basically the team that gets the better today will win the season. They only have 1 point separate them on the overall season battle here. So Verhaeren makes it, Odyssey makes it, Langham there, Cassie there, Holdcroft there. Does Eiley Gardner get into? So Eiley just 3 seconds off of this group, fighting to try to. Well, right now the numbers are even, aren't they, Nathan? 2-on-2. When you talk about Wahoo Lacole and Aeonian, Eiley looking to stack it in the favor of and it's still 2-2 back here. It's like
Yeah.
Noah's Ark.
This is amazing, Dave. Castelli now is involved. It looks like Team SZ now also doing some work to bring things back. And now we do see that steamroller being used by, I believe that's going to be, is that going to be Gardner perhaps? No, it's going to be, well, one of the Wahoo Lacole riders was using that. Now, the steamroller is not going to do anything for the riders except for on the cobbled sections. The cobbled sections is the only section. So they are using that here in order to just get rid of that power up. Now, obviously, the feather are going to be very helpful on that 10% gradient that we see Illy using that now to cover any kind of moves. I wonder if she's actually going. I think that's just the reserve energy, 4.3 watts per kilogram. I think she's just
Recovery
looking to make
mode.
sure, yeah, using that to the greatest advantage at this section here.
Yeah, it's really steep here, or fairly steep, 8% grade. Absolutely great call, Nathan. Just kind of getting a little bit of charge on your battery right now. This is one of the very few moments where it hasn't been all out slugfest mode. It's come back together. And I think, Nathan, that it's relatively close when you talk about points here between Wahoo Lacole and Aeonian at this point. No team is going to be feeling chuffed, and no team is going to be feeling panicked either. They're both trying to execute their game plans here as we come to the middle part of the race. Focusing a lot on both the two big teams here, Aeonian in the purple, blue, and green, and then I guess you'd say the magenta and blue of the Wahoo Lacole team. But that gray of Castelli up there representing quite well today.
Yeah, let's take a look at whether or not we've got a little bit of update on the points, and we do. As we come on through, it's going to be Langham here still with some dominating performances. And We'll take a look at maybe a replay of how she took those first points for the fastest through segment. There's 61, Holcroft 56. We are seeing Verhaeren, though, and Arce there with that third and fourth, and that's really the numbers that are going to matter there with Whitelaw with 18. Lindsay Cassie, 31 points there for Wahoo Cole. That's a big boost to them, and that's going to put them up into that 92 total, with Lee Gardner grabbing a solid 10. There's probably a few underneath the top 10 here with WOC as well. So it's still a battle here, Dave, but I think Aeonian have the better at the moment. But finish line points are going to be massive today, and Lindsay Cassie, I think she is going to be that secret weapon for those finish line points, like we saw for Hexagon in that last race.
What a talented group this is. I mean, Nathan, if I were going to pick one bike race to watch, this would be the one. There's so many awesome dynamics, and we haven't even mentioned Marlene Bjadhead out here, one of the great esport racers coming out of Sweden, and it just shows you how competitive this group is as we come up on another pinch point now where it looks like Castelli wants to pick the speed up.
Yeah, a little bit
Everybody
of
in this.
moving to the. I thought Cassie was making a little move off the front there for a moment, but it calms down here as we head into lap number 3. Now the catch is going to be made. It seems to be happening every lap here, where there's this group, Dave, that gets shot off the back and then barely gets involved again here. As we got Team Electric Spirit Co. Now, one of the teams I think that's suffering out here today, I haven't seen a lot of representation of the Creamsicle kit, actually, as we like to call it. And I have a feeling because they are such a strong sprinter team, they've had a good representation in the top spots in the series. But when you hit these punchier climbing courses and you're more have a pure sprinter, if you don't have that go again and again and again over and over again, it could just become a little bit too much to get over them too many times here. As we hit the halfway point in the race, Dave, I think we do see that chip in the armor of Electric Spirit Co.
Richmond is the kind of course where you find out where your weaknesses are really quickly. It's an honest course, to say the least. This is Natalie Stevenson of the Toyota Cryo team that we're in with right now. Nathan's 100% right, as these two groups were merging back together there through that sector, something that we see a fair amount of out here. Yeah, I have a feeling right now, Nathan, most of the riders in this group are bracing themselves for what they know is going to be another tough trip up Libby. And at this point now, really no point in burning calories that you're going to be looking for a little bit later.
100%. Let's take a quick look here at how things played out the first time over the top of that Libby Hill climb. A quick little replay. And the moves went so quickly. We were trying to find the front of the race there because they came fast and furious. But it was Brandfoot who made the move first from WLC, 211 beads per minute. Holcroft there from Synergy. This was lap number 1 for those FTSs. And I just want to really highlight how Zoe Langham ended up at the top here. But it was a battle there between Verhaeren as well as Arce and Langham. But Langham, look at how far back she was sitting. 5 seconds back, actually, at this point. Look at where she comes from there. 10, 11 watts per kilogram kick here. Now there's still a 10, 12 for a second there, and there's the speed. Here's Verhaeren. There's Langham as well there, but Langham actually coming through with the steamroller and the speed through that section on that right-hand turn. And there is the FTS now grabbing it. Right on the wheel was Verhaeren, though, trying to come over the top. Holcroft holds on from Synergy. But that was more for an FAL, as I believe that the Aeonian riders did grab a lot of those FTSs through there. Langham continues on, and then we'll see if we can bring this forward just a tad here. And you can actually see how things played out over the top of that 23rd Street as well. And here it was Jarheed with Arce, Holdcroft, Verhaeren. Langham fades back to 5th over the top of that first lap for 23rd. So that's how things played out on 23rd over the top. And it's kind of set the stage, I think, Dave, for this common theme that we're seeing with this break apart and then come back together for about 40 riders. Break apart, come back together for 35 riders. And just kind of the whittling down of the pack that maybe plays into the hands of the plan that WLC might have for a late attack from Lindsay Cassie. My question is, can anybody cover? Is there anybody in this field that could cover a late attack from Lindsay Cassie, Dave?
That's a great question. I mean, it's certainly no one comes to mind, to tell you the truth, which is, I mean, that really speaks to how strong Lindsay Cassie's been, and she's been proving it week in and week out. You know, Nathan, if you go back and look at what you just showed us there, that's a pretty good synopsis for how the entire day has been. You see the Wahoo Cole team organizing, picking up a nice batch of points, but then the counter strike happens, and that was Aeonian the next time doing the same thing here. So it just goes back and forth like a prize fight. right? And they're through the middle part of this race right about now. And you take a look at the gladiators of Zwift out here. Well positioned is going to be the Wahoo LaCole team. That's Eiley Gardner that win with a really solid teammate. Great pairing there with Lindsay Cassie.
Yeah, it
I didn't
really
expect the
is.
group.
It really is. That's a good point, Dave. That Illy Gardner's one that's got a really good punch and can set things up maybe well for Cassie to come over the top for some sort of attack. I'm wondering in my
Like
head,
right now.
yeah, yeah. And my other thought here though is that Aeonian has a lot of depth when it comes to the front end of that podium each time over the top, right? Langham might be able to take these big points. Lindsay Cassie, though, I think there's a lot on her shoulders here, where Langham's going to take a lot of these FAL and FTSs, and then Cassie, I think, is going to be the one that needs to break this down, though, because I'm not sure that Zoe can go again and again and again and again to the end of the race. We might see her, like we saw from Dawson in the last race. She takes a ton of these points early on, and then maybe a fifth place or maybe further back in the top 10. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot of risk that she's putting on early on in this race here. And are they setting up Cassie, though, for something later on? And that's their game plan. Whereas Aeonian, they're just stacking the front every time, right? They've just
Yeah.
got a lot of numbers toward the front each and every time.
And Nathan, I agree. And so the last minute we've been really hitting it on the Wahoo LaCole team. But I have a feeling, Polona Itkin. There's a name. It's a very talented rider.
And she gets incrementally stronger every race. I've noticed a little bit closer,
100%.
a little bit closer.
She's doing her work, and we've seen her in the Zwift Grand Prix as well. She's a rider that has potential. Her trajectory is continuing to climb, and it's fun to watch Polona Itkin, again, one of the riders on the Aeonian team here. So, yeah, I mean, you can really just keep breaking this down. The end of the day, both teams have got a lot of talent, a lot of motivation, and you've got to factor in teams like Electric Spirit Company, the Creamsicles moving up to the front right now. That's Kate Leigler, one of the fastest, strongest sprinters in the sport.
Toyota Cryo making the way to the front with Stevenson, as Team Castelli are also here. If we get a lowdown of who's all made this front group too, Dave, like how many riders are left and the kind of power they have to throw down to do so. I'm seeing right now it's a 27 rider group, so it has whittled down. It was 47, I think, or so the last time through. So this is cut down 20 riders coming into this next lap here. So really, really difficult time through for the pack. And looking through the differences, though, in the power profiles, I mean, Lindsay Cassie and Illy Gardner, they do go head to head, really, when it comes to their 20-minute powers. Zoe Langham as well is right there. Really, Dave, Aeonian are punchers. When I look at this 15-second versus the 20 minutes, Aeonian really have the punch to the line. Whereas I think Wahoo LaCole want to just break them when it comes down to just the on paper. If we talk about how things look on paper, Aeonian are going to try and hang on to what Wahoo LaCole throw at them over and over again and come over the top at the line over and over and over again because they have that punching spirit here. Now, we do see this here from Arce. Now it's going to be Vicky Whitelaw toward the front. Aeonian now taking over. Langham, though, with a late kick. Is she going to be able to come over the top of this here? It does look like it's going to be Langham with 11 watts per kilogram. And that arrow power up late on here, taking some more FAL points. 13 watt per kilogram kick to the line. Aeonian, though, stacking it again. It's a battle forward. This is the important ones right here. Arce and Verhaeren behind, but
that's big.
Holdcroft in the middle of it all there, Dave. Stealing. I like it. Holdcroft says, nope, I'm going to stick myself right in the middle of all this and grab these points.
It's funny because at first you're like, okay, looks good, Zoe Langham, but then, oh boy, good for Aeonian. They're going to pick up a couple spots, but then right there's Eiley Gardner. So it all comes out in the wash with Holdcroft chuckling in the middle there. But ultimately, as far as points go, nobody really took a big advantage that last time up, Libby, as we move into the back half of this race. Now, that's going to be Aeonian. Now, I was mentioning Polona Itkin. That's the rider that we're focusing in on right now.
Yeah, and I really like where she's positioned here. Itkin, how she took some solid points, it looks like. Was able to really represent the team. I think she out-sprinted Cassie to the line there. So that's a big deal. When you see this many riders here from a single team, that are just barely out sprinting some of the others there. Langham does take big points, but it might not be enough to make the difference that's needed between them and Aeonian. We'll get a points update here in just a moment. WLC still represented, though. It's fairly matched. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders here. Does Aeonian have 5 still, Dave?
I think so, actually. This is going to be Lindsay Cassie again. Nathan, it might be 4. Good catch there, looking at Aeonian. Either way, both of these teams are keeping their head above water. This is going to be this is a big one because Langham's going to follow through, so it's going to be a double dip. Now, Cassie and Langham, take a look behind that. Verharn will come through, so Ariel Verharn will pick up 3rd place points, I believe, but it's going to...
she got nipped. She got nipped.
She doesn't.
Oh, no,
That's
Brandfoot. I think Brandfoot is 1 lap down.
That's
My
a big
bad.
moment.
No, I'm sorry. That's not FAL. That's for an FTS. Apologies. That's on me that I didn't notice. Brandfoot is actually sprinting with the pack there for FTS points to see if she can get them, which is 100% legal in the Zwift Racing League. She is a lapped rider, and she was going for, and I think she's actually playing FTS all day. I think that's why we saw her
FTS.
from
interesting.
back to front on the first climb. We saw her go back to front. Now we saw her in with the pack and go back to front as best as she could. She is their FTS hunter. That's her role, it looks like, for WLC today.
I think the best way to put that for people who are a little maybe wondering what we're talking about, that fastest through segment, it's basically, it can happen at any time in the race, and you don't need to be on the lead lap or the front group to get that fastest through segment. It's just raw data from this point to that point, who does it the fastest throughout the day. So that means that you will see riders who are a lap down contesting that, because without using the draft and the physics, the dynamics of the peloton, there's no way a solo rider would be able to get that fastest through segment. You need other riders to work with to accomplish that goal.
100%. And, big discussion actually on the FTS versus FAL and how people can go after it, whether or not. There's been a lot of conversation about that. And we can go check that out over on the Wrap. We had a nice little episode about, was that 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago for the Wrap. A lot of fun chatting about that on the podcast with Anna Russell. And there's an entire forum of posts if you want to go check them out in the Zwift Racing League's posts. I think that's gotten, I don't even know. There's
it's
300.
It's a popular topic.
That's a very popular topic. Very heated discussion. Now, Dave, is this gonna finally snap? Is my question. It looks like we've got Illy Gardner going to the front, and we haven't seen this from her last lap. We saw her at 4.3 at this exact section with a feather. Now she's pushing 5.6. Dave, this is a move.
Yeah. Is it enough to just blow up this race? I don't think so. Actually, not quite yet. Is she strong enough to? Absolutely. Wahoo Lacole right now has really got an interesting situation, don't they? I mean, should they just go all in at this point? Because that can really backfire on you
Langham's
as well
going
out here.
Okay, Langham just pushed 8 watts per kilogram to come across to her riders. Zoe, Cassie,
something's up,
and Gardner all together here. And Aeonian, they are punchers, Dave. I don't know if they got the FTP for this. I don't know if they have the pure wattage when it comes to just sit down and pedal to cover these moves right now. And they've got to work together to shut this down, because 3 riders. Now, this is a launching pad here, it looks like, for Gardner and Cassie, because Zoe Langham just went backwards. Was that on purpose, though? Did she know that they were
coming
getting caught?
Across? Yeah, Arce's now trying to respond, which is that's critical that they get representation up here in this group. And just Arce's not going to be enough with Gardner and Cassie up here. And that's the 2, Gardner and Cassie on the front. Holcroft is having a fantastic day as she's tucked into that slipstream. That's going to be Arce coming across. But here comes another rider now. Zoe Langham is coming. This is a big moment. We got a jailbreak. We've got a jailbreak right here, right now, while Lacole is trying to win the season, Nathan. It is all on the line. So this is it. Your big moment has arrived here for ZRL 22-23 Season 2. It's on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah, and now it's going to be Marina RC coming over the top, just barely over this lap here. Can she close it down is going to be the question, because this will put 2 riders. It's no longer going to be a 3 versus 1. She does, because at this point, it would be Ariel Verharlen alone against 3 riders here. Lindsay Cassie continued to at 5.8 watts per kilogram. It's 1 second. Marina's at 188 beats per minute, Dave, and she's just barely going to latch onto this.
This is Vicky Whitelaw's moment. Talk about stepping up. You know, they use that term, meet the moment. Well, she just met it. Way to go to the Australian Vicky Whitelaw.
Vicky, see, that's Arce. That was Arce. Marina Arce coming across there. Vicky Whitelaw back here in this group. Apologies on that, Dave. It looks like Arce here and Verhaeren have made the front group.
There we go. I apologize. I thought that Verhaeren up there was Arce. So there you go. So they do have two. So not ideal, Nathan, but it could be worse.
It could be. And now, Dave, Wahoo Lakov have put themselves in a very commanding position, though, right? Because
it's their race to lose now, for sure.
Exactly. And the reality of coming into these last couple of laps here in this situation with 3 Wahoo Lakov riders who all have shown, Langham has the kick. She's got the FTP. All of them actually have an amazing, amazing FTP ride here. You have a punch against them. How do you match this? And then if they start throwing riders off the front, you do have Holcroft here. And Holcroft is kind of like this wild card alongside of also the Toyota Cryer T. Holcroft. I mean, these two, they could really be a little bit of a blessing here for Aeonian to cover things if needed at times. Or are those riders going to say, nah, Aeonian, it's up to you? But I have a feeling that Holcroft and Holcroft, I think that they really want to win this outright today and will match anything that WLC throw at them. At least that's what we've seen so far from them.
I would agree that they're here to win the race outright. As an individual, we've talked a lot today about how much of a team sport this really is, where you're relying upon the points that your teammates can help you get points, but they need to get points themselves. And now we're going to be looking at, again, a very, very unique race situation. Because, Nathan, as you said, I mean, if this group goes to the line, I wouldn't be too surprised if Aeonian wins the bike race outright. But we still got a long way to get to that point. 15 kilometers of racing remaining here in Richmond. This is the front group that we're honing in on. The points have been distributed fast and furious out here today, and we still have the massive amount of points, the big tally waiting at the finish line here.
As the riders make their way. I'm going to see if we can get an update on those, actually, Dave, because that's a good call out. See where things currently stand. And look at Langham, 84 at the top. Holcroft has just been stealing points left and right. Solo synergy rider here at 67. It's going to be out of Martin Verhaeren there at 65. Lindsay Cassie right behind her at 63. Arce is in there at 56. Zarheed 420. Now, Vicky Whitelaw with that 24 points. That is, and Polona Ikin at 11. Now, if Polona and Vicky can continue to chip away, that does even things out a little bit. Illy Gardner, though, is up here. So she's going to start grabbing some more points as well, Dave. This is still coming right down to it. But Langham with the dominating position there for WLC, really putting them at the top of the leaderboard. And Dave, I have a feeling WLC may be pulling this off with the way that Cassie and Langham have been performing.
I would certainly hedge towards WLC at this point. We've seen crazy things happen out here. However, it's far from over for Aeonian. But Nathan, I'd have to agree with you.
Now, one other thing I want to, as we have a moment, we did just watch the men's race as well. It was very, very tight racing. It was coming right down to today. And what I want to just...
We actually don't know, do we? I mean, we left that race to come join the women, but we left with the big question mark hanging over over that event.
Is the answer, Dave. And Wahoo Lakov from the men's race, able to do it by 1 point. But Dave, you were right. The finish line points there, Beast Mode did get 483 did get a higher level of finish line points. The FALs and the FTSs, you can see, but at the end of the day, there it is. It is going to be Beast Mode. Now, not all those points were gathered here, but Beast Mode presented by Rose tried really, really to challenge, but Wahoo Lakov was just too much on the day, and they ended up taking it down. This came in tied 95-95 for the men's race, just so everybody knows.
Does not get much closer than that, does it? What a fight today. Credit where it's due. Beast Mode really put up a battle, Nathan, and they showed a lot of patience as well. They had a game plan. They stuck with it. They do come up obviously just a little bit short, but that was a valiant effort out there. But credit to Wahoo Lacole. Team's been on fire this year. How about
As
Dawson today as well? I mean, that was one command performance from Christopher.
he ended up completely burying himself. I mean, he went for every single one of those points over the top. I think he's having a really good cyclocross season, if I'm not incorrect as well. I'm gonna have to double check on that. I think he's been racing cross pretty well, and this is a cross racer's course, really, in a lot of ways
I
too.
think he could. And you look at the World Championships coming up in mid-February. You'd have to look at Dawson as a rider of interest.
100%. Gardner to the front.
Bit of a wild card, even.
Yeah, a bit of a I'd say wild card looking for him for a top 10 out there at the Worlds and even on a given day, cyclocross is one of those disciplines, Dave, where anything can happen. If you're in that conversation for a top 10, you're in the conversation for a win.
Agreed. Well, these women are just about to have that conversation as we're coming up on 10K to go. Make it a baker's dozen of kilometers racing. It's really going to be the impact that these climbs have. That's going to be the Argentinian Marina Arce that we're looking at. One of the two Aeonian riders up in this group. The other's the American Olympian, the Swiss Army knife herself, Ariel Verhaeren. Wahoo Lacole setting the pace, though. And Nathan, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Right now, they're in command position here. They've got the numbers in this front group. I think just a thumbnail sketch, it looks to me like they're either have a small lead or very, very close to the lead on the points for the day. And really what their goal is to beat Aeonian. It's pretty much that simple today.
Taking a look at Cassie, this is what she's known for. She just wants to make the race hard. She knows she doesn't have the kick to the line up against the likes of the other Aeonian riders, I think. And this is what Wahoo Lacole can do now, right, Dave? They can just
Yeah, they
send
might not have
riders
to
off
worry
the
about it.
front and go, go, go here. Now Langham, another kick. Nice little feather power up. Langham, 9 watts per kilogram. They might be able to get 2 WLC riders off the front with this move coming from Langham here. She's looking to chase down her teammate, but here's Gidley Gardner right on her wheel, and that is also going to be WLC. Arce now holding on, it looks like, just barely.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
And
this is trouble in River City if you're Aeonian. This is where you start watching things slide away a little bit as 3 of the top 4 spots are going to go to Wahoo Lacole. Sure, 2 of the top 5 going to Aeonian, but the gap should start growing there if you're looking at it from Wahoo Lacole's perspective. And now the numbers game really starts to come into play as they'll continue to send riders off the front trying to put pressure onto. Boy, we've really isolated this one too, Nathan. We're down to 3 Wahoo Lacole and 2 Aeonians up here, which is really basically encapsulating the season that we've had.
Arce trying to come across 100%, Dave. Let's see what she can do here because Cassie continues at the front trying to break this rider. Can they do it? Now, Dave, this is where the roll through matters. Verhaeren is trying to give her a wheel without getting dropped, I believe, Dave. Now Verhaeren kicks 192 WLC with 3 riders at the front. Can they make this happen here? Verhaeren now 70 kilometers per hour. She rolls through just enough, perhaps, Dave, to get back on terms, and it might actually be to her advantage. But now WLC, they go again. Lindsay Cassie at the front, 180. Now they've got feathers, arrows, too many power ups. Here's a feather power up though from Verhaeren. Verhaeren's got 9. Will she come across, Dave? But Zoe Langham here up front. But Verhaeren's got speed. Can she roll through? I don't think she can do well. She's got orange numbers, Dave. Ariel Verhaeren, she might just come right on through them. She's got the speed. She has to continue to kick all the way to the line. This is a big FAL. She can take it down. Zoe Langham trying to give one last kick. I think Verhaeren's going to have to settle for maybe 3rd or 2nd here. Right to the line.
3rd.
Oh, my goodness. It's so close, Dave. Really, Gardner
That's
off
tough.
the back. Arce off the back. Verhaeren almost making it happen there. Now it's a 3v1.
Yeah, then right now the only real way that Ariel Verhaeren can win this race for Aeonian is if she can figure out how to clone herself in the next half lap.
Right? I mean, this is a really difficult situation with
This, I mean,
WLC.
yeah, I guess. I mean, it really is. I mean, I'm going to look at it from the perspective of Wahoo Cole, Nathan. This is a team that's just firing on all cylinders right now. They're not missing a step. And Aeonian has put up a tremendous fight. The race is not over, but the way things look right now, you're looking at one of the best teams in esports right now, talking about the WLC ladies here.
100%. And as you can see, the moves here by them over and over again have just whittled things down over and over again. As you said, Dave, they're a tough team to battle, that's for sure. And we've seen them do it in the Zwift Grand Prix. Now we're seeing them do it here in the community. Verhaaren, though, Dave, she is really proving something. This is one of our qualifiers from the Continental Qualifiers, Dave. She is going to Worlds. And I think she's getting a little bit of a taste of what it's going to be like to go up against the reality of Great Britain right now.
Well, you're
Against the
looking at
UK.
about you're looking at about half of the British team right now, aren't you, Nathan? That she's
Exactly.
racing against here. That's a really good point. My takeaway, if I'm Ariel Verhaaren, would be very, very happy. I mean, yeah, the team didn't win today, but she's showing herself to be up to the task. Now, here's another big moment. That power up that she's using there is she's just binning it basically, as it wouldn't have any effect at that point. She's making a smooth road smooth.
Lindsay
No shade
Cassie
on
on the
that.
move. Not at
Right.
all.
Yeah.
No. Lindsay
Yeah.
Cassie, Illy Gardner making a move off the front here. And Verhaaren, I think at this point, is going to ride with Zoe because the truth is, I think, Dave, that trying to cover this move by these two, you're just going to get worked over and over again. And I'm not against settling for riding the next. I mean, I maybe give it a go, but if there's nothing left in the tank and you try and follow that, you might end up alone with no one,
I agree.
right?
You've
So
got to know when enough is enough, right? And when you've got to settle in and ride your pace and not let these. I mean, you're looking at two world class super athletes right now. I mean, Cassie Gardner and Langham. That sounds like a law firm that suing you into a coma out here today. The way these ladies are riding, that's going to be Langham tucked onto the wheel of Verhaaren. They might have some company here. It looks like Holdcroft and Arce are about to join to make a group two here. But as we're down inside of 9K of racing remaining, it's a Wahoo Cole clinic today.
taking a pull at the front, Lindsay Cassie, Gardner sitting on. And nice little move there by Gardner and Cassie to make that split happen. And it looks like there is going to be some company here. Now, that gap is out to 18 seconds. Now, here's the thing. You can start to play games, though, for at least these places. For the third place, Verhaaren and Arce have a new race on their hands, and that's the solo rider that is Langham that's with them. I mean, this does put them in a situation where at least they can start to play some games to try and break the big sprint of Zoe Langham, because I do think she has the best, maybe the best kick amongst them after a hard effort. I think Verhaaren, if it was just coming to the line, it would be pretty close between Verhaaren and Langham. I'd have to take a look at some of the numbers here that we do have. But in this situation, though, I think Zoe might have the better if it's about a steady effort or a high end effort into a final kick. And we'll see if the Aeonian crew can maybe do something to grab this third place rather than let Zoe take the final podium spot.
Ariel Verhaaren represented the United States at the 2012. She made the London Olympic team for the United States. A longtime BMX star, still coaches in that sport, and the term "snap" is BMX derived. The ability to just put massive watts down on the ground, and Ariel Verhaaren's quite exceptional at that. We'll see if she gets a chance to sprint out of this group. Holdcroft, I don't want to sleep on her. She's had quite a ride out here today.
Going for a podium amongst this crew. That's about as good as it gets. So nice ride here by Holdcroft. Maria Holdcroft is one of the top riders in the world as well right now.
Yeah, we're going to hear
And
more about her, aren't we, Nathan? I
yeah,
have a
she's a newer
feeling.
name. She's a newer name to the whole world of Zwift racing for sure. We've seen her jump in this past spring and into summer and had some amazing results. And riding for she's really been leading this synergy team to the top places that they're able to take down. Actually, right now she's level 30 Zwifter. It looks like, and if I take a look through her history, Dave, it only goes back to 2022.
Yeah, she's pretty
April
fresh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
April of 2022, and jumped right into some A racing pretty early on, or A rides, and then it looks like she got picked up by this Synergy team and started racing in the Zwift Racing League, and has been this mainstay at this point. So great job by her.
Yeah, I think you could start building a program around, get a couple riders like this and start working from there. Next thing you know, well, I don't know if I'd say next thing you know, but that's how you build a team like Aonian with some quality riders and just keep reinforcing around that. So it'll be fun to watch how she does out here. But good job by Synergy, representing on a very, very tough day of racing, the final day of the season, as we'll go into our brief holiday break before things kick off again. This is the chase group that we're with right now, as there are two riders up the road, two exceptional riders up the road. I thought maybe Cassie had dropped Gardner for a second there, but just the angle of the
I wonder if we're gonna see
camera.
something like that, Dave. I
I
wonder if we're gonna see a little bit of, all right,
wonder how
girls.
well, yeah, I wonder how well these two know each other in real life. You can't assume anything with Zwift. I mean, Nathan, it's possible they've never actually met in real life before. Odds are pretty good that they're familiar and
Yeah,
friendly.
and the only reason I would say also is they both. I mean, both being from the UK. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I
They
would
both
for
race
some
in
reason.
real life too, so I would expect they see each other at races.
Yeah, and I think so. If we were talking Langham and Gardner, I feel like there's a higher chance. I don't know about Lindsay Cassie. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna try and get some information on Cassie's in real life racing, and who she's been. Her results in real life is triathlon, age group winner in Ironman, as well as road racing as a Cat 2. Gardner with
So not a
UCI
bike
and
racer
Langham.
as much as
Yeah,
a
yeah.
triathlete then,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So I have
Interesting.
a feeling that Lindsay Cassie more of this consistent. That's I think also why, since she is Iron Man and the triathlon world, having that steady grindability, but I think Gardner and Langham are the better chances that they know each other in real life, just
You're
from
right.
that pro cycling scene.
She would probably know, Lizzie Brooke better.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. And actually, there's probably like sectors of the team. Tim Fulfer's actually in the chat, who helps run the team, and he probably has all kinds of information about how they set. Because really, if you're directing a team, a lot of times you're thinking about what kind of weapons are you putting out there, and how you're rounding that team's power
For sure.
profile out. And Cassie, as well as with Brooke, they are going to be that high, steady power profiles that you'll see. They have kicks, obviously, as well. Not as strong as a kick as I would say as the punchers that we would see in Langham, as well as Gardner and others on WLC. But that
They're
triathlon background
effective,
tends to
though.
have that high diesel, right?
Right. And you can see how that's such a tool for your team, where what they did with Lizzie Brooke in the Grand Prix, where it was a straight ahead power play that the other teams really couldn't respond to. If they tried chasing Lizzie, they were going to set up the other riders on Wahoo Lacole. And that's really when you know that your team is firing on all cylinders. And that clearly is the case for Wahoo Lacole right now across the board, the men, the women, all the different levels. It's been really, really impressive. And this will go down as one of the team's stronger all time rides, what we've seen here today in Richmond, Nathan. This is a memorable performance.
WLC doing what WLC do again, 102 and 83. Verhoeven at 79 here. That looks like Aonian going to have to settle for second place. Dave, I'm trying to recall last season's results. We had something similar going on here. It was WLC versus Aonian, I believe. And I'm wondering who ended up winning it out here. And is this a repeat of season one
Interesting.
of this
We'll do
round,
some
or the
research
round
here.
one or round two here, or did
Season one,
Aeonian did Aeonian take
23.
it down? Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm wondering. We'll have to double
Right.
check and look and see. But I have a feeling that maybe WLC are getting some revenge here. I have a feeling Aeonian were the top spot.
I have a feeling you're right. So we'll do some research. This is going to be the front of the bike race that we're checking in with now, as these ladies are in a world of their own. Talking about Eiley Gardner and Lindsay Cassie here. Yeah, they're clearly, these two are just in their rhythm right now. Not worried about attacking each other, obviously, just riding a very nice pace.
And Verhaeren, this is the question. I think the next story that does play out is what happens with Langham, Verhaeren, Holdcroft, and Arce at this point. Are they going to start playing some games? Can they break her? There's going to have to be some pretty well played games to break the likes of Langham or just make it very difficult. I mean, does Langham have anything left? Has she thrown too many matches in the fire at this point? Gardner to the front, it looks like at the lead group, but this four right here, Dave, is that last podium spot going to be taken
Eh,
by WLC? Will they go 1, 2, 3?
I think that if I was a betting man, I would say yes, because obviously right now you can see it's been what, maybe 4K of just sitting on for Langham at this point. So, and she's a talented rider, no doubt. So I would expect that she's got something coming for these ladies.
Yeah, sitting in Langham 5-6. She's just really playing it smart here at this point. Does she even want more FAL? Or is she actually going to be like sprinting for even more FAL at this point? I wouldn't put it past her one bit. Try and just really seal this deal here. Gardner now
Look how huge that.
hanging on.
That's a really good shot there, Nathan. I don't know if I've ever really been able to see. Usually it's just covered with racers, but looking all the way down Libby Hill and seeing nobody is a nice sight for these two. And there you go.
Langham, she's got the feather. Is she going to try and break him here at this point? She's got the gap here. Arce trying to respond. 7 watts per kilogram, but it's a 2-second gap here now. There's the aero power up. Arce is going to go across. Verhaeren, I think, is fading. She does have the steamroller through the cobbles. That's going to give her a little bit of speed, actually, and that may insist her to hang on. Langham continues on forward. Now she fades to 2.6. Arce, Holdcroft, followed up by Verhaeren. So Wahoo will go 1, 2, 3 for the FALs through there and continue to extend their lead. Holcroft now to the front, it looks like, but calms down at 2.3 watts per kilogram. The two off the front here, and then there's Super Tucks most likely as they head into 23rd. They're not dropping each other as they're going to work together
No,
here
and
through 23rd Street.
that would be unheard of in real life or in esports to drop your teammate at this point. These two just so strong. The fact that you're off the front of a group like this together, it shows that you are the class of the field, and there's nothing left to prove out here. As a matter of fact, I think the only thing, well, starting to open up a little bit of a gap right now. I guess this is just a bit of a flex that we're looking at from Cassie here. Not necessarily attacking her teammate, just she's that strong would be my thought. But look at Gardner putting some bigger numbers up. I think this does come back together here on the front, Nathan. A little surprised to see this gap, actually.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Cassie
It
backs
really
off to
doesn't
1.2.
matter. One way or another, they're both going to hold on for first and second.
195 beats per minute. There's still, it still isn't, they aren't making it
So that
easy,
was
that's for sure.
yeah, that was as rugged a trip up. Now we see Aeonian charging it.
Langham, 12 watts per kilogram, 11 watts per kilogram from Langham. She's trying to just hang on here. It looks like Arce and one last kick from
Here
Zoe
comes Langham.
Langham. It looks like Langham's there's going to take that one down too. 1, 2, 3. There it is. So that's 3, 4, 5. Langham waited to the last moment. Usually that is a very difficult section to come through on.
Now you feel like you're sprinting through wet cement, going so slow, making such a huge effort. So they're sweeping the top 3 spots now at every point distribution opportunity. Wahoo Cole. Just the finish line left. These ladies have 1K until they get there, climbing Governors.
They were able to drop off Holcroft, it looks like, as the 37
To her
seconds
credit,
up.
we'll have Holdcroft winning some big races in 2023.
100%. I have a feeling Holcroft, she's just getting going when it comes to this whole
Agreed.
Zwift reality. And back in April, just joining and now being at the top spots here. synergy. Maybe gonna pad up the roster a little bit, put some work in, perhaps.
And
And
if she started in April, Nathan, and she's up to level 30 now, she's Zwifting a lot lately. So I have a feeling that she's got the bug. Going back to the front, they did come back together here, Cassie and Gardner. On a climb like that, a lot of times it's easier just to get up at your own pace and then regroup over the top. This is your gold and silver standard out here today on the platinum standard of teams.
what's gonna happen between the two here? Cassie was off the front. Is she gonna kick again against Gardner?
So
Is Gardner gonna go to the line with her? There may be an arrow power up involved here. It'll be a fun little sprint between the riders, but really the question is what's gonna happen with Langham back here? She attacks the group. Arce looks to respond. Verhaaren now on the wheel. It's only those two left. Will it go 1, 2, 3, 4? Wahoo Lacole. That's the question out here today. Sweeping the podium, perhaps, Dave.
yeah, and right now I would have to say I'm starting to think maybe they don't because that's actually Holcroft, isn't it? There that has come back, revitalizing herself as Langham now we're with into the final 500 plus meters.
Holcroft back
Looks like Langham's
involved
gone.
here. Wow, this is amazing here coming in from Holcroft. Nice ride by her. She rode her way back into this group and actually is going by the rest of the riders here. Langham now 6 watts per kilogram. Last little effort here. Sprint between the ladies. Are they going to hold hands across the line or is it going to be Cassie here? Nope. Nice little kick here. 6 watts per kilogram. Gardner now looking to respond here. They're going to put on a show for us, it looks like now, Dave. Where's the kick for to the line? Gardner usually has a really solid one here, but I think Cassie may have broken that out here today as Lindsay Cassie rides over the top into that 6 watts per kilogram or so. Nice kick here by her to the line to take the win outright on the day for Wahoo Lacole. With
They really
200
stepped
meters to
up
go.
here.
Hey,
I mean,
domination.
yeah, this could have gone a bunch of different directions out there as we came into this race, basically deadlocked here. But Wahoo Lacole has kicked it up a gear in the last half of this season. Really, the last couple of weeks, they've been unbeatable. And today was a good example of that. It looks like Zoe is going to come through and grab that third and final spot on today's podium. So Wahoo Lacole, utter domination out here today.
Liking the setup here. Pretty nice by Wahoo Lacole as far as the fashion in the field goes as well.
The socks are cool.
Yeah, the socks there. Perfect. Here comes Arce. Over the top, perhaps a cent. Nope, unable to do so. Verhaaren's going to settle
Holcroft takes
for.
four.
Yeah, Holcroft takes 4th, 5th there for Arce. Verhaaren there going to come on through next for 6th place to round things out for the ladies for that top 6. Lots of battles behind Dave, but the reality is that this is going to be, like we said, it is mayhem out here, and it's really every woman for herself eventually. You can't really do a whole lot. You can work together here and there, Dave, but the reality is the course is so difficult. It just
Yeah.
completely annihilates these fields.
Yeah, I'm going to guess, Nathan, the biggest group that we see finishing today is not even 10 riders, which speaks to how well, there you go. That probably is the biggest group today, right there, that's left.
Palona Icken and Barbara Fish, last little couple of spots here. These points matter.
Yeah,
They
they're
definitely
trying.
matter.
Yeah, they realize that, it's not over till it's over. I think the reality, though, of what Wahoo Lacole did.
Yeah, 1,
pretty
2, 3. There's just
definitive.
way
Yeah.
too many points. Way too many points at the top.
And they were racking up those points all the way to the finish there. It wasn't just at the finish line. They really took control of the race at the midpoint, never looked back.
Ligler, Kat Haynes, a couple of Sox Watts riders coming across. Here's Natalie Stevenson from Toyota Crowd DT for a solid 26th place amongst this elite field. You know, I when you finish back here, Dave, and you 26th, whatever. But Dave, this is number 26th
day.
amongst the strongest women in the world that you can name yourself amongst the top 100, top 200 women in the world when it comes to Zwift racing. That's really what this is.
I would agree. I mean, I would say, yeah, if you took a top 25 in this field here today, you are one of the I'll be conservative and say top 150 esport racers on the planet, but you're in a very elite group, ladies.
100%. As Team Castelli work together to make their way on through here, we'll get a few more of these riders in their finishes. We might have another sprint on our hands here in just a moment. With Natalie Lawrence is also out here, another triathlete. Good to see her showing up and racing again.
They
She's
wanted to
jumping
give
in for Soxer Watts.
a shout out. I know that GCN, the Global Cycling Network, is firing up the Zwift Academy. The season is just what am I trying to say here? I believe it's
The
5 different
finalists. The
shows. The
finalists.
finalists are
Yeah, following the
so
finalists and who takes down the Swift Academy. Does that launch today? Is that today,
it
Dave?
does. I believe it's the first episode is today. That
All
came to
right.
mind because I saw the Castelli team, which is the team of Chiara Doni, who's one of the riders in that Swift Academy finals.
Harms and Shanks. Lawrence, followed up by Ramsey from Sisu. I Race Like a Girl, coming across line to 32nd place. It's going to be Kent behind her from the Creamsicle Electric Spirit Co team. Rounding out our top 33 or so. There it is, number 33. We're going to head on over to some results and in just a moment here. Dave, that's going to be it for the Zwift Racing League, though, for the rest of the 2022 year. As
Yeah.
we were looking forward to next season. Registration, I believe, opens tomorrow, if I'm not
Oh,
incorrect,
good.
December 14th. So if you want to register on up between now and the start of Zwift Racing League round number 3 in this, that will be in the year of 2023. You can do a couple of other things. The Dirt Racing Series is going on. Obviously, WTRL TTTs, practice your TTT, because there are 2 team time trials to watch out for in the next round of this 2022-23 season. So always good to be practicing that. Still, the day isn't over, Dave. I just watched that and I'm like, okay, so when I go into Zwift Racing League for myself, sometimes, Dave, I'm like, oh yeah, sit in and sprint. Sit in and sprint. No big. Like, I'll just sit in and sprint. Oh man. Tonight is
Oh, it
going to
doesn't look
be
easy.
tonight is going to be one of those days. And Dave, it's one of those situations where I
How
want to get off the front though. I want so badly to get into that situation where I don't have to deal with anyone around me except for a couple of guys that I'm racing with. We'll see if we can make that happen, but
how's your team doing? The OMG team. Are you guys leading
we got
your division?
disqualified in race number 2. So we lost
Oh,
20
that's
points,
right.
which was almost insurmountable. But going into the race, I was like, why aren't we last place for the TTT? We should be going out. We should be going out last. Why aren't we last? And we had somehow worked our way up to 5th. I
Oh,
think
good.
podium is impossible, but we may, I think, be able to move to 4th if things work out in some sort of weird way or something. But anyways, it's been a lot of fun. We've also had vegan cyclist Tyler Pierce jump in. It's been interesting seeing
That's
him
fun.
throw that in the middle of his training and see some of his daily vlogs around that as well. So it's been a lot of fun. But the OMG guys definitely become a pretty cool team to be a part of. So really good.
100%.
Really
And I
good.
and I really think that's what the Zwift community is all about, right? You find your tribe, you engage with them, and then you take on the world in your battle, just like Wahoo Lacole did, or what Aeonian is doing. And a lot like finding the right local bike shop for yourself. The teams all have a different vibe, a different dynamic. Some are there for fun, some are there to be really competitive, some it's a mix of that. So you got to find the right team that fits what you're all about. But once you find that fit, man, it sounds like an absolute blast for our racers. And these become some of the better friends that you've got out there, the folks that you race with.
100%. It really is. And it's been cool to watch the character, but it's weird. We talked about it it is kind of weird and uncanny the way that the development of the team and even growth as individuals that you see happen virtually over a
Sure.
virtual platform by doing something like bike racing, which is can be a very, very amazing character building thing for sure. Now, the results though
You know, the
from the
bike
women's.
racing, the bike racing might be virtual, but all of the attributes that make you the athlete aren't. You know, the showing up, the being reliable, the being able to bury yourself. Those are all real things. And and it really pays off for folks. So Well, Nathan, looks like the United Kingdom had quite a day.
Yeah, Lindsay Cassie, Illy Gardner, Zoe Langham, Wahoo Lago go 1, 2, and 3. And I do think that was a little bit of a okay, we can take this down. I do believe that there was a little bit of injury and maybe even illness as well in the team last season. So I think there were also some bounce back there coming from WLC or last round in this season. So, but still, solid fight there for Aeonian. And I think they did end up in second place then on the season. But the Marina Arce Arleverhan taking that fifth and sixth. Maria Holkov throwing herself right in the middle of all that all day long in fourth place there. Nelly Larson for SC. Trude, it's going to be Lauren Langham also out there for Wahoo Lacole in eighth place. Marlene Jarhid for SZ and Toyota Cryo RDT. That is your top 10 on the day for the A Racers. One other thing here, then, Dave. I think a lot of this most likely will be decided at this point, but I do have an updated points table that we can bring on
Oh,
in
great.
here for the standings. And Wahoo Lacole do take it by 2. David, the rest of the field, it looks like pretty much stayed the same after today.
Yeah, the Aces ended up second on the day. They just came up against a buzzsaw with Wahoo Lacole today. But great job, Aeonian Aces, and we'll look forward to seeing you back at it next season. Toyota Cryo RDT ends up in third. Team Castelli for fourth. Electric Spirit for fifth. Synergy in sixth. Wahoo Lacole, the Etoile de Velo in seventh. Roca Corba eighth. Crush Pod, the Norns in ninth. And then SC Trud in 10th. Great season, ladies. Spirited racing. Really, really enjoyed being along for the ride.
100%. Well, that's going to be it for us for the coverage of today's racing as well as round number 2 in the 2022-23 season. Everything is on a break when it comes to ZCL. Well, not everything. When it comes to ZCL and the racing scene as well as the Zwift Grand Prix, but we still have the Race Like a Pro series going on as well as our wrap. The wrap on Thursdays is going to be still coming at you. Be on the watch out for some announcements around some other things around streaming as well throughout this next month or so as we take a break over the holidays. The other thing is we will be broadcasting a lot over on my personal channel for racing. You can always check out twitch.tv and the Go Zwift segment of that. There's lots of people streaming every single day. We always love to support our streaming community. But Dave, it's been a great season. Been a lot of fun covering the EMEA. Also, still plenty of racing to go. So go check out those Twitch streams. The Americas later today are going to be happening. And I think a podcast just went out too. And we've got more podcast. Like, Dave, it's like podcast after
A
podcast
lot
after
going on.
podcast. Teppo. And then also, I think we're talking tomorrow a little bit with. Well, I'm not sure if you may be in on that too, but we're already talking with the uh Zamuke with the whole going downs with recent bannings and things like that. So that's gonna be happening as well. There's a lot going on. So let's look forward though to the next round next season. We'll see you guys there. Thanks a lot from myself and Dave. And as always, everybody, a big right on.